Thank you. Again, I want to say thanks for inviting this presentation of Baha'i perspectives on the power of nature and its many dimensions. We'll consider Baha'i views on nature's essence, the hidden powers it contains, its ability to inspire awe and wonder, complex structure, role in healing, and relationship to love, taken from the sacred writings of two central figures of this faith. Also included are a few statements from contemporary Baha'i institutions working to protect the earth and its inhabitants. I want to say right now that I'm in no way an official representative or spokesperson for the Baha'i faith, merely an individual, long-time Baha'i. A statement by Baha'u'llah, the founder of the faith, on the ultimate source of all that we humans claim as our own reads, "Every man of discernment, while walking upon the earth, feels indeed abashed, inasmuch as he is fully aware that the thing which is the source of his prosperity, wealth, might, exaltation, and power and advancement is, as ordained by God, the very earth which is trodden beneath the feet of all. There can be no doubt that whoever is cognizant of this truth is cleansed and sanctified from pride, arrogance, and vainglory." So what is the Baha'i faith? It's the newest world religion emerging in the mid-1800s in what was then Persia, now Iran, and it centers around the teachings of its prophet founder, Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah means the glory of God. You can see the Allah in the name, and Baha, glory, Allah of God. Baha'i means follower of Baha'u'llah, of that glory, much as Christian means follower of Christ. Like the Buddha, Baha'u'llah gave up a life of great wealth and privilege for his spiritual calling and destiny. In 1853, he received a vision, a visitation from the Maid of Heaven, informing him that he was the divine educator being awaited by followers of all the world's major religions. Persecuted by both religious and secular power structures, because like Christ, his doctrine was quite antithetical to vested interests, Baha'u'llah spent the rest of his life in exile, first to Iraq, then to Turkey, and ultimately to what was then Palestine, now Israel, where the Baha'i World Center is today located in Haifa. Baha'is believe that the divinely inspired writings of Baha'u'llah are an immense resource for the world in furthering humanity's collective, evolving spiritual consciousness. We feel that is in progress and underway. This morning, we'll consider excerpts from Baha'u'llah's writings and also from the work of Abdul Baha, whose name you see there as well, Baha'u'llah's son and appointed successor. Abdul Baha was given sole authority to interpret the work of his father and to serve as global leader of the faith. In 1912, Abdul Baha traveled to the US, went from coast to coast with stops in between. And you can see him there in Minneapolis, Loring Park. And in 1912, there's a bench in Loring Park, which commemorates this visit. He also was I included the picture of him in Dublin, New Hampshire, because I just liked his expression of great love and support and compassion. He spoke to the assembly of the First Unitarian Church of Dublin, New Hampshire. In Boston, his first public talk was to 800 Unitarian ministers at the American Unitarian Association conference. He spoke to an audience of hundreds at Brooklyn's Unitarian Church and later that of Philadelphia, San Francisco, and other US cities. So I think there's been a long-standing history of interaction, mutual respect, and appreciation between Baha'is and Unitarians. So what specifically did Baha'u'llah teach? The central message of his teachings is unity, that there's one God, one human family, one unfolding religion. The peoples of the world of whatever race or religion derive their inspiration from one heavenly source and are the subjects of one God, he wrote explicitly. Called by different names throughout the ages, the eternal God is one, the creator of the universe. God is limitless, all-knowing, all-powerful, all-merciful. All our best human qualities and virtues are reflections of God's divine attributes. God communicates through messengers, also referred to as divine educators, and we can approach God through studying the words and scriptures of these messengers. So one God, one human family. Ye are the fruits of one tree and the leaves of one branch. Deal ye one with another with the utmost love and harmony, with friendliness and fellowship. Beyond all differences of race, culture, class, or ethnicity, or regardless of differences in customs, opinions, or temperaments, every individual is the member of one gloriously diverse human family. Each unique individual has a role to play in carrying forward an ever-advancing material and spiritual civilization. This core belief in oneness calls us to actively root out both our personal prejudices and the systemic inequalities that divide and oppress people of different ethnic backgrounds, national origins, genders, and social classes. In addition to one God and one human family, we have this idea of one unfolding religion, the changeless faith of God, eternal in the past, eternal in the future. Humanity's spiritual, intellectual, and moral capacities have been cultivated through the successive teachings of the founders of the world's religions, these manifestations of God, divine educators, messengers, known by different titles, but among them, the specific names are Krishna, Abraham, Moses, Zoroaster, Buddha, Jesus Christ, Muhammad, and most recently, Baha'u'llah. Each religion originates with God and is suited to the age and place in which it is revealed. In essence, the religion of God is one and is progressively unfolding. Here's some of the key principles enunciated by Baha'u'llah, and you'll see many, many parallels with Unitarian Universalism's 7 principles and also its 6 sources. And I hope that today's writings will be a source of inspiration and gladness, one of those sources of wisdom that you open-mindedly look for at every turn. So the principles, the oneness of humanity was the key message of Baha'u'llah, but again, echoing familiarity to you, independent investigation of truth, no blind imitation of what your religious leaders or parents did or believed, elimination of prejudice, racial and social justice, the nobility of each human being, equality of women and men, harmony between science and religion, universal education, spiritually guided solutions to economic inequality, and justice and equity as foundations for world peace. The reality of God is considered an unknowable essence by Baha'is. While this unknowable essence is beyond human understanding, we believe that expressions of God's attributes exist in every created thing. I think it's important to emphasize that Baha'is do not believe that nature is in itself divine, but all these created things reflect some quality or qualities of their divine creator. Baha'u'llah wrote, "Witness the wondrous evidences of God's handiwork and reflect upon its range and character." He who is the seal of the prophets, that is Muhammad, wrote, "Increase my wonder and amazement at thee, O God." Every time I lift up mine eyes unto thy heaven, I call to mind thy highness and thy loftiness and thine incomparable glory and greatness. And every time I turn my gaze to thine earth, I am made to recognize the evidences of thy power and the tokens of thy bounty. And when I behold the sea, I find that it speaketh to me of thy majesty and of the potency of thy might and of thy sovereignty and thy grandeur. And at whatever time I contemplate the mountains, I am led to discover the ensigns of thy victory and the standards of thine omnipotence. Can't beat a goat. Okay, observe how an animal will graze in the field where there are 100,000 kinds of herbs and grasses, and how with its sense of smell it snuffs up the odors of the plants and tastes them with its sense of taste. Then it consumes whatever herb is pleasurable to these senses and benefits therefrom. Were it not for this power of selectivity, the animals would all be dead in a single day, for there are a great many poisonous plants, and animals know nothing of the pharmacopoeia. Whatever constituent of their body has decreased, they can rehabilitate by seeking out and consuming some plant that has an abundant store of that diminished element. And thus the equilibrium of their bodily components is reestablished, and they are rid of their disease. I want to add too that in the Baha'i writings, it says that in the future, every disease of humanity will be prevented or cured by the right combinations of foods and good nutrition. Man is gifted with a power whereby he penetrates and discovers the laws of nature, brings them forth from the world of invisibility into the plane of visibility. Electricity was once a latent force of nature. According to nature's laws, it should remain a hidden secret. But the spirit of man discovered it, brought it forth from its secret depository, and made its phenomena visible. It is evident and manifest that man is capable of breaking nature's laws. How does he accomplish it? Through a spirit with which God has endowed him at creation. This is a proof that the spirit of man differentiates and distinguishes him above all the lower kingdoms. It is this spirit to which the verse in the Old Testament refers when it states, "And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness." The spirit of man alone penetrates the realities of God and partakes of the divine bounties. Were one to observe with an eye that discovers the realities of all things, it would become clear that the greatest relationship that binds the world of being together lieth in the range of created things themselves, and that cooperation, mutual aid, and reciprocity are essential characteristics in the unified body of the world of being. Inasmuch as all created things are closely related together, and each is influenced by the other or derives benefit therefrom, either directly or indirectly. Hence, it was stated that cooperation and reciprocity are essential properties which are inherent in the unified system of the world of existence, and without which the entire creation would be reduced to nothingness. The great holy man, Black Elk, said, "I cured with the power that came through me. Of course, it was not I who cured, it was the power from the outer world, and the visions and ceremonies had only made me a hole through which the power could come to the two-leggeds. If I thought that I was doing it myself, the hole would close up and no power could come through. Then everything I could do would be foolish." Males asked Frank Foolscrow, Black Elk's nephew, "Do you agree with Black Elk that the medicine person is a hole that Wakantanka and the helpers work through to help people?" He replied, "We, Foolscrow and Black Elk, agreed that the higher powers had taught us this same thing. We are just holes. But as I have used hollow bones for curing, I decided that it is better to think of medicine people as little hollow bones. All medicine persons are hollow bones that Wakantanka, Tunkashila, and the helpers work through, in and through. The power comes to us first to make us what we should be, and then flows through us and out to others." You can find parallels here. Reiki practitioners often refer to themselves as little pieces of hollow bamboo with the exact same principles in operation. And I have to add that Frank Foolscrow became a Baha'i in his later years, so we're pleased to have him in the number here. And this is clear. A power above and beyond the powers of nature must needs be brought to bear to change this black darkness into light, and these hatreds and resentments, grudges and spites, these endless wrangles and wars into fellowship and love amongst all the peoples of the earth. This power is none other than the breathings of the Holy Spirit and the mighty inflow of the Word of God. Love is the cause of God's revelation unto man, the vital bond inherent in accordance with the divine creation and the realities of things. Love is the one means that ensureth true felicity both in this world and the next. Love is the light that guideth in darkness, the living link that uniteth God with man, that assureth the progress of every illumined soul. Love is the most great law that ruleth this mighty and heavenly cycle, the unique power that bindeth together the diverse elements of this material world, the supreme magnetic force that directeth the movements of the spheres and the celestial realms, which I think is beautiful to think of it as something that Muhammad is also referred to in the Quran. Love revealeth the unfailing, with unfailing, unlimited power, the mysteries latent in the universe. Love is the spirit of life unto the adorned body of mankind, the establisher of true civilization in this mortal world, and the shedder of imperishable glory upon every high-aiming race and nation. I want to switch now to a few quotes from these contemporary Baha'i institutions. The first, the Baha'i International Community, is the official global voice of Baha'is. It is affiliated with many international organizations, chiefly the UN. And they say, for Baha'is, the goal of existence is to carry forward an ever-advancing civilization. Such a civilization can only be built on an earth that can sustain itself. The Baha'i commitment to the environment is fundamental to our faith. The Universal House of Justice is the global governing council or body for Baha'is, a 9-member group resident in Haifa, Israel, at the Baha'i World Center. And they write, one of the most pressing problems of humanity in the current century is how a growing, rapidly developing, and yet not united global population can, in a just manner, live in harmony with the planet and its finite resources. The inequitable distribution of resources profoundly impacts social relations within and between nations, even to the point of precipitating upheaval and war. The question of the impact of climate change and to what extent its effects can be ameliorated is today a major aspect of this larger problem. The Baha'i International Community is at it again, and they say, establishing sustainable patterns of individual and collective life will require not only new technologies, but also a new consciousness in human beings, including a new conception of ourselves and our place in the world. The question today is how new patterns of action and interaction can best be established, both individually and collectively, through personal choices, social systems, and governing institutions. They go on, only a comprehensive vision of a global society, supported by universal values and principles, can inspire individuals to take responsibility for the long-term care and protection of the natural environment. Baha'is find such a world-embracing vision and system of values in the teachings of Baha'u'llah, teachings which herald an era of planetary justice, prosperity, and unity. The last quote from the third organization is the International Environment Forum, a Baha'i-inspired and founded organization based in Geneva, Switzerland. This quote is from a presentation that the International Forum made at a global water scarcity forum. The Baha'i faith places great importance on the preservation of the ecological balance of the world. The wise management of all the natural resources of the planet, including water, will require a global approach, since water is not a respecter of national boundaries. The use, sharing, protection, and management of water needs to be governed by spiritual principles of justice and equity and the fundamental concept of moderation. Decisions on water need to be taken through processes of consultation involving all those concerned or affected. Okay, thank you very much. And we'll conclude with a song from Baha'i composer Ali Yosefi, performed by Baha'is from around the world and echoing the central Baha'i theme of the oneness of humanity.
Gather all people beneath the shadow of thy bounty and cause them to unite in harmony, so that they may become as the rays of one sun, as the waves of one ocean, and as the fruit of one tree. Gather all people beneath the shadow of thy bounty and cause them to unite in harmony, so that they may become as the rays of one sun, as the waves of one ocean, and as the fruit of one tree. The